Welcome to Chapter 1, Mindset for Financial Freedom. The first step in a transformative journey that will unlock the door to your financial destiny. Let me ask you a question. Are you living your life from a place of scarcity or abundance? Because right now, your answers to that are shaping your financial future. Let me tell you a story about a man named Marcus. 20 years ago, he found himself drowning in debt, working 2 jobs, and convinced he'd never escape the cycle. He believed money was unpredictable, that hard work alone wouldn't free him, and that he could never trust the system. But here's the twist. A decade ago, Marcus walked into a room of people just like him, and he discovered something radical. He learned that financial freedom isn't about winning the lottery. It's about rewiring your brain to think like the person you aspire to become. Today, Marcus owns a multi-million-dollar company, mentors others, and lives a life of purpose and wealth. His transformation didn't come from a sudden windfall. It came from a shift in mindset. And that's what we're here for. Financial freedom isn't a destination. It's a process fueled by the right way of thinking. Let's start by identifying the invisible chains you may not even know are holding you back. The first step, exposing limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs are the stories we tell ourselves about money. They're the little voices in your head saying, "I'm not good with finance," or "only greedy people get rich," or "my money never lasts." These beliefs are learned, often from childhood or past experiences. But here's the truth. They're not facts. They're mental scripts that rob you of power. Take your limiting beliefs and ask yourself this: are they serving you? If they're not helping you create what you want in life, they need to be replaced. Let's take one example. If you believe, "I can't afford to invest," reframe that to, "Every investment is a step toward financial freedom." If you think, "Money is the root of all evil," flip it to, "Money is a tool for good when used with intention." This is the power of replacing limiting thoughts with empowering ones. It's not just positive thinking, it's intentional thinking. You're rewriting the narrative. The wealth mindset, a new operating system for your brain. Now, let's define what a wealth mindset really is. It's not arrogance. It's not believing you're better than others. It's not about accumulating wealth for its own sake. It's about understanding that you have the power to create, attract, and manage abundance. A wealth mindset is rooted in 4 pillars. 1. Vision. Clarity about what you want and why it matters. 2. Discipline. The ability to act consistently, even when it's uncomfortable. 3. Gratitude. Appreciating what you already have while striving for more. 4. Growth. The belief that skills, habits, and wealth can be developed over time. Let's break this down. Imagine you're starting with 0 vision. You have money, but no destination for it. Now imagine adding discipline, saving, investing, budgeting. But without vision, it's like rowing a boat randomly across an ocean. Gratitude keeps you grounded. It stops greed and fear from hijacking your decisions. And growth keeps you learning and adapting, because the financial world is always evolving. Here's where the magic happens. When you align all 4 pillars, you stop feeling like a pawn in the game of money. You become the chess player, strategizing, anticipating moves, and making choices that serve you. The secret sauce. Action follows belief. I want to share another story. A woman named Carla once said, "I could never be a millionaire." She grew up in a household where her parents worked hard but never saved. Money was a source of stress. Then, something shifted. She started reading financial books, journaling about her beliefs, and repeating daily affirmations like, "I am a creator of wealth, and money flows freely to me." At first, it felt awkward. But over time, her attitude changed. She began prioritizing investments over guilt-based spending. She learned to see savings as an act of self-love. Within 5 years, Carla built a portfolio that generated passive income, enough to quit her job and finally pursue her passion. Her success wasn't accidental. It was the result of replacing "I can't" with "I choose to." Daily rituals to build a wealth mindset. You don't have to wait for some distant moment to start training your brain. You can begin today. Here are 3 simple practices. 1. Write your financial mantra. Create a sentence that encapsulates your financial goals and values. For example, "I build wealth by honoring my time, skills, and resources." Say it aloud every morning to anchor your mindset. 2. Track your inner dialogue. Whenever you notice yourself thinking, I can't afford this, or money is tight, pause. Ask, is this serving me? What's a better thought? 3. Visualize financial freedom. Close your eyes and imagine the life you want, what it looks, feels, and sounds like. The more vivid the picture, the stronger your brain will be wired to pursue it. The wealth mindset and the long game. Let's talk about patience. One of the greatest illusions of financial freedom is the belief that it's fast. But a wealth mindset isn't about shortcuts. It's about showing up day after day, making small, smart choices that compound over time. Think of an oak tree. It started as a seed. If you watered it once and expected it to grow in a week, no growth takes soil, sun, and seasons. This is why long-term success is powered by a wealth mindset. It doesn't chase temporary fixes. It builds systems. It learns from losses. It doesn't panic in market downturns. It doesn't overspend to appear wealthy. A wealth mindset says, I earn, I save, I invest, I grow. Your invitation. Here's your challenge. Over the next week, notice when you're falling into limiting beliefs about money. Jot them down. Then rewrite each one into a wealth-driven affirmation. For example, money is hard to earn. Right pointing arrow. Money flows to me with effort and strategy. I'm not good with money. Right pointing arrow. I am improving my financial knowledge daily. And don't forget to take action. One small step could be tracking every dollar you spend for 7 days. That act alone will shift your perspective from blind spending to conscious choices, a cornerstone of the wealth mindset. Remember, financial freedom starts in your mind. As Marcus, Carla, and thousands of others have proven, the moment you take responsibility for your thoughts, you take control of your finances. So let's leave this chapter not as skeptics, but as builders. Let's build a mindset that honors your time, your energy, and your potential for greatness. The road to financial freedom begins now, and trust me, you've already come further than you know. In the next chapter, we'll roll up our sleeves and build something real. A budget that's not a cage, but a compass. Stay committed. Stay bold. And remember, your mind is the most powerful asset you'll ever manage. Let's start managing it wisely together. Welcome to a journey that will change the way you see every dollar you earn. This is where the magic begins. The moment you decide to take control of your money begins to take control of your dreams. You see, budgeting isn't about restriction. It's about liberation. When you create a budget and track your expenses, you're not shackling your finances. You're unlocking the potential to build a life that thrills you, excites you, and sustains you. This chapter is your starting line. Let's cross it together. I want you to imagine someone, maybe someone you know, or maybe a version of yourself before they decided to take action. Picture this person, overwhelmed by bills, confused about where their money disappears, and trapped in the same paycheck-to-paycheck cycle month after month. Sound familiar? This is a story I've heard thousands of times. But here's the twist. This person, let's call them Alex, had a moment of clarity. They realized that to escape the chaos, they had to confront the uncomfortable truth. They didn't know their money habits. So they began. With a blank notebook, an open mind, and a fierce determination to reclaim their power. And you'll never guess what happened. Alex discovered that they were spending $400 a month on coffee. $400! That's a rent payment, a car payment, a vacation, something that could change a life. But the magic wasn't just in cutting back on lattes. It was in the awareness. When Alex started tracking every single dollar, they uncovered patterns they never noticed. The subscription services they forgot existed. The lunch outings that added up to hundreds. The just one more impulse buys. Once those were gone from blind spending to conscious decisions, that's when the shift happened. This is your invitation to have that same awakening. Let's begin with the first step, knowing where your money is going. You wouldn't drive cross-country without a map, would you? So why treat your finances like a blindfolded road trip? Write down every income stream, your salary, side hustles, freelance work, anything that adds cash to your account. And then do this. For 2 weeks, track every penny you spend. Yes, every single penny. Grab a notepad, open a spreadsheet, or use an app. More on that later. Record the $3 coffee, the $25 video game, the $150 rent. This is not judgment time. This is detective work. When Alex did this, they were shocked to discover they spent over 40% of their income on non-essentials. But here's the secret. This wasn't a failure. It was a clarity. Because now, with those numbers in hand, they could make choices that aligned with their goals. They could ask themselves, is this $30 bottle of wine worth the trade-off of my $500 savings goal? Suddenly, money had purpose. It became a tool, not a trap. Let me be crystal clear. Tracking expenses is not about restriction. It's about freedom. Freedom to prioritize what truly matters. Freedom to say no to the stuff that steals from your future. When you see your money in black and white, you stop living in financial ambiguity. You become the captain of your ship. Now, let's move to the second step. Building a budget that works for you. Many people think of a budget as a rigid, soul-crushing list of no's. But the best budgets are flexible, realistic, and even exciting. Here's how to build one. 1. Divide your expenses into categories. The most popular framework is the 50/30/20 rule. 50% of your income goes to needs, rent, groceries, utilities. 30% to wants, entertainment, dining out. 20% to savings and debt. But this isn't sacred. Tweak it to fit your life. Maybe you want to pump up that savings percentage to 25% if you're building an emergency fund. Or shift more money toward a travel fund because life is also about joy. 2. Automate what you can. Set up automatic transfers to your savings and bill payments. This takes willpower out of the equation. If your savings get deposited before you even see the money, you'll be amazed at how naturally it grows. 3. Build in flexibility for the unexpected. Life throws curveballs, and your budget should be ready. Leave room for a little spontaneity, because you deserve it. Let's talk tools. We live in a world where technology can be your greatest ally. There are apps like Mint or YNAB that track spending, categorize transactions, and even predict when you'll run out of money if you keep spending at the same rate. But you don't need a high-tech solution. A simple Excel sheet or even a paper notebook can work wonders. The key is consistency. Here's what Alex did next. They used an app to sync all their bank accounts. Within minutes, they had a visual of their spending. The app color-coded their expenses, a red flag if they went over budget, a green light if they stayed on track. They loved the daily reminders. You're doing this. You've saved $100 this month. It was gamification at its finest, and Alex never looked back. But let's get real. Change doesn't happen overnight. There will be days when you forget to track a receipt, or you overspend on a lunch with friends. This is not a disaster. It's part of the process. What matters is that you return to your budget the next day. Financial freedom isn't about perfection. It's about progress. And here's the most powerful insight of all. When you start budgeting, you begin to see money as a partner, not an enemy. You stop being ruled by fear and start making choices rooted in intention. Let me leave you with this. Every time you track an expense, you're voting for the life you want to create. Every dollar you save is a brick in the foundation of your future. Every time you say no to an unnecessary purchase, you're saying yes to something greater. You are not just learning to budget. You are crafting a financial identity that reflects your values. You are creating a life where every dollar works for you, not against you. So right now, I want you to take a deep breath. Reach for that phone, that notebook, that empty spreadsheet, and start. Welcome to Chapter 3, Investing for Passive Income. This is where your journey transforms from being merely a saver to a smart creator of wealth. Imagine, if you will, waking up every morning to an income that doesn't require you to trade time for money. That's the power of passive income, and I'm here to tell you, you can build this. Let's begin by breaking down the myths. Investing isn't just for the wealthy. It's not about buying a stock tip from someone on Reddit and hoping for a miracle. It's about building a system, a strategy, and a mindset that allows your money to grow while you sleep. Let's explore 3 foundational pillars: stocks, real estate, and bonds. Each plays a role in creating that financial freedom you desire. Start with stocks. I know what you're thinking. I don't have enough money to invest, or I've heard about people losing everything in the stock market. But here's the truth. Any amount is a start, and the secret to success isn't timing the market. It's time in the market. Take the story of a young teacher who invested $100 a month in index funds and left it untouched for 30 years. Because she had the patience to let compound interest work its magic, her $36,000 investment grew to over $200,000, all while she earned a steady paycheck and raised a family. That's not luck. That's the result of discipline and the patience to stay the course. Now, real estate. It's often called the king of passive income, and for good reason. Rent from property can provide a steady cash flow, but the trick is not to go all in before understanding the game. Let me share this. One of my mentors bought a duplex when he was in his early 30s. He lived in one unit and rented the other. Over time, he used the rent to fund more purchases. Today, he owns 15 properties and earns $10,000 a month in passive income. But here's the key. He didn't rush. He studied the market, built a team, and let time build his wealth. Real estate isn't about flipping houses or getting rich quick. It's about building a portfolio that grows quietly over years. Then there's bonds. They're often called the glue of a well-diversified portfolio. Why? Because they provide stability. When you lend money to a government or corporation through bonds, you earn interest over time. It's not flashy, but it's dependable. Think of bonds as the steady friend who shows up for you when the stock market swings wildly. For every aggressive move you make in stocks or real estate, bonds can anchor your strategy, ensuring you're not left scrambling during a downturn. But here's where many stumble. They forget the most powerful force in finance: compound interest. This is the interest on interest, and it's the secret weapon for long-term wealth. Let's run a quick experiment. Imagine we have two investors. One starts at 25 and invests $200 a month with a 7% average return. The other waits until 35. By age 60, the early investor will have over $500,000, while the second person will have only $200,000. That's the brutal math of time. The earlier you begin, the less work you have to do later. You see, financial freedom isn't about massive risks or getting rich tomorrow. It's about starting tomorrow, today. The first step isn't to find the perfect strategy. It's to take action. Here's a strategy for you. Diversify and automate. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Invest across different asset classes, stocks, real estate, and bonds, so that when one area stumbles, another can rise. And automate your contributions. Treat investing like a second paycheck. Set up automatic transfers so your money works for you without requiring constant attention. This discipline will keep you from falling into the trap of spending money that should be growing for your future. Now let's talk about passive income strategies that can scale with you. Dividend stocks are a fantastic start. These are companies you own a tiny piece of, and they give cash to you quarterly just for holding their shares. Imagine collecting checks every 3 months with no extra work. Then there's real estate investment trusts, or REITs. These allow you to own shares in commercial properties or apartments without having to manage tenants or fix leaky faucets. And let's not forget about peer-to-peer lending or crowdfunding platforms, which let you earn interest by financing projects or properties owned by others. But here's the truth I want you to carry with you. Passive income requires upfront active work. You won't wake up with it. It's built by making tough choices now, sacrificing some current spending for massive rewards later. It's about creating a plan and sticking to it, even when the market wobbles or life gets noisy. I want you to visualize this. Years from now, you're sipping coffee on a Saturday morning, checking your investments, and realizing that your expenses are covered by income you never have to earn actively. That freedom is not magical. It's mathematical if you do the work today. So where do you begin? Open an investment account today. Start small if you must. Set an automated contribution. Buy index funds, ETFs, or even a low-cost mutual fund, and let time do what it does best. And if you're feeling bold, research a rental property in a growing market. Test the waters. This chapter isn't just about numbers. It's about reclaiming your time and energy. When you create passive income, you unlock the ability to focus. You know, debt has a way of feeling like a heavy backpack filled with bricks. Every step feels harder, and all you want to do is set it down. But here's the truth. You don't have to carry that weight forever. Debt isn't the enemy. It's how you handle it that determines your financial freedom. Today, we're going to transform that backpack into a lightweight day pack, and eventually, we'll leave it behind for good. Let's dive into the art of debt management. First, let's break down the battlefield. Not all debts are created equal. Some debts work for you. They help you build wealth, grow your life, and secure your future. Think about a mortgage that appreciates over time, or student loans that lead to a higher income. These are what we call strategic debts, and they're tools when used wisely. But then there's the enemy: high-interest credit cards, payday loans, and purchases that drain your bank account without offering a return. This is debt that feeds on you, not the other way around. The moment you recognize which category your debt falls into, that's when your power begins. Now let me tell you about Jordan. Jordan was a 28-year-old teacher who loved their job but felt trapped by $25,000 in student loans and $8,000 in credit card debt. Every paycheck felt like a race to keep their head above water. But Jordan made a decision. They would not let debt define their future. They sat down with their lender, explained their situation, and asked for a lower interest rate. Guess what? The lender said yes. They also called their credit card company and negotiated a 3% reduction by offering to set up automatic payments. That 3%? It translated into $200 more every month toward paying down the principal. Small changes. Massive impact. Here's your takeaway. You have more power than you think. Call your creditors. Say this: I'm committed to paying you back, but I'm struggling with the current rate. Can we work together to find a solution? You'd be surprised how often they'll agree. People want to work with you, not against you. And always ask about balance transfer offers or hardship programs. They're out there. Now let's talk strategy. When it comes to repayment, the world is full of advice, but two methods rise above the rest. The first is the debt snowball. You focus on paying off your smallest debt first, then roll that payment into the next smallest. It's a psychological game, a series of wins that fuel your momentum. Imagine paying off a $1,000 credit card, then throwing that $200 a month at a $3,000 loan. Suddenly, you're not just paying debt, you're conquering it. But here's what Jordan discovered. After using the snowball method, they weren't just eliminating numbers, they were reclaiming their life. The $25,000 student loan that once felt impossible, they attacked it with confidence, using the discipline they'd built from conquering smaller debts. By the time they paid off the last credit card, they were unstoppable. Let's contrast that with the debt avalanche method, which targets the highest interest rate debt first. Both strategies work. Your choice depends on your personality. Are you motivated by quick wins? Snowball it. Do you live for long-term savings? Avalanche it. Either way, consistency is your ally. Now, here's where it gets personal. Debt isn't just numbers on a screen. It's a reflection of your relationship with money. Jordan used to stress about every dollar. But as they paid down their balances, something remarkable happened. They began thinking about possibilities. That $500 car payment that once felt like a burden, it became a step toward buying a reliable vehicle for their family. The $1,000 credit card? Gone, freeing up space for a vacation they'd always dreamed of. Debt isn't just about survival. It's about creating space for your dreams. Let me give you a bold challenge. Write down every debt you own, every single one. See them all in front of you? Great. Circle the one with the smallest balance. That's your first target. Then, commit to this. You will pay it off no matter what. When it's gone, take that energy and crush the next one. And when you've taken down the first few, something shifts inside of you. You're no longer a victim of circumstances. You're a master of your money. But let's talk about a crucial mindset shift. Debt is not a reflection of your worth. It's a problem to solve, not a label to carry. I met a woman once, let's call her Maria, who thought she'd never be out of debt because she had a financial weakness. It wasn't true. She had a pattern of relying on credit cards during emergencies because she didn't have an emergency fund. So what did she do? She built a $1,000 safety net while paying off debt. That emergency fund became her security blanket, her confidence booster. Suddenly, unexpected car repairs didn't send her into a spiral. She began to breathe. Here's the formula. Tackle debt, build an emergency fund, and watch your confidence skyrocket. You're not just improving your finances, you're rebuilding your identity. Let's close with this. Debt management isn't about being perfect. It's about being persistent. It's about showing up when it's hard, when you'd rather watch TV or scroll through your phone. It's about choosing your future over short-term comfort. Every no to a latte or a shopping spree is a yes to a brighter tomorrow. Remember Jordan? After 5 years of focused effort, they're completely debt-free. They bought their first home. They're saving for retirement. And they're mentoring others, just like we're doing now. That isn't magic. That's mindset. That's strategy. That's you waiting for your turn. So grab that backpack, lighten it, then take it off for good. Your financial freedom is not a distant dream. It's the result of every decision you make today. Let's go out there and rewrite the story of debt in your life. You've got this. You've come a long way. You've already begun to shift your mindset, control your expenses, and build a foundation for wealth. Now it's time to take the next bold step, increasing your income streams. This is where the game changes. This is where you begin to think like a creator, a visionary, and someone who dares to build multiple avenues of earning power. Let me ask you a question. What if the life you long for isn't just about cutting back, but about stepping into your highest potential as a money-making machine? That's what this chapter is about. Let's start with something simple, your skills. Chances are you already have a talent or expertise that people are willing to pay for. Maybe you're a master communicator, a problem solver, or a creative force. The key is to take those strengths and offer them to the world in a way that generates income beyond your traditional job. I've seen this happen again and again. Take the story of someone who worked a 9-to-5 role for years, barely making their financial goals. They realized they spent hours each week designing logos for friends and small businesses. Instead of keeping it as a hobby, they decided to charge for their work. Today, that side hustle has turned into a thriving freelance business, netting them tens of thousands of dollars a year while still working their day job. That's the power of leveraging what you already know. You don't need to become an expert overnight. Start small. Audit your skills, then ask, what can I offer to someone right now? Is it writing, consulting, teaching, maybe even virtual assistance? Platforms like Fiverr, Upwork, and social media apps are packed with people ready to pay for your expertise. And here's the best part. Freelancing or side gigs aren't just supplemental income. They're your foot in the door to new possibilities. That one client who pays you for a logo might lead you to a business owner who hires you as a brand strategist. That blog post you write for fun could become a paid blog for a company. The momentum multiplies. But if you're dreaming bigger, let's talk entrepreneurship. Think of it as the ultimate income lever. Starting your own business isn't just about selling products or services. It's about building a system that generates income without you having to exchange hours for every dollar. I want you to imagine someone who worked in customer service for a major corporation. They noticed that small businesses had huge demand for customer engagement strategies, but zero time to do it themselves. This person saved for a year, poured all their energy into creating a marketing agency, and now owns a company that serves over 100 businesses. Their income skyrockets each year, not because they work longer hours, but because they built a team and scaled their systems. That's the beauty of entrepreneurship. It turns your ideas into assets. And here's the truth. You don't need a perfect plan to start. You just need a step, one action, one idea. Maybe it's a product you can sell on Amazon or a course on Teachable. Maybe it's a subscription box or affiliate marketing. The goal is to create something with low overhead and high demand. The key is to solve a problem. If you can solve a problem for someone and charge for it, you've got a business. But let's be clear. Multiple income streams don't mean chasing shiny objects or jumping into every trend. It means strategic diversification. Imagine relying on just one investment or one job for your entire income. That's how you become stuck in a paycheck-to-paycheck cycle. When you diversify, you create financial freedom. This means combining active and passive streams, like a job, a side hustle, and dividend investments. Or combining consulting with product sales and affiliate income. Every dollar earned is a step closer to security. Let's talk about mindset for a moment. Increasing income is not about becoming greedy. It's about becoming unlimited. You are not a victim of your current income. You are the architect of your financial destiny. I want you to release any guilt or fear that you're doing too much. The people who build financial freedom are the ones who embrace boldness. They say yes to opportunities that challenge them. They put themselves out there, even when it's uncomfortable. And here's the secret. Those fears you have about failure, they've already been replaced by the freedom they now live in. Let me give you one final real-world example. There's a person I know who worked a modest income job, but had a passion for fitness. At first, they just exercised regularly, but they noticed a huge gap in their community for affordable, personalized workouts. So they started offering group classes in their garage for $10 a session. Then they offered online coaching. Then they designed a nutrition plan that sold for $200 a month. Today, they run a multi-$100,000 fitness empire with employees, partnerships with brands, and a life of freedom. That's what happens when you take one passion and run with it. Your turn is now. You may feel like you don't have time or resources, but let me correct that. You have right now. You have your unique skills, your energy, and your ability to create. Start today by listing every skill you have. Ask people around you, what do you wish I could help you with? Then build a plan to offer that skill in a way that earns you money. Financial freedom isn't just about saving money. It's about creating it. It's about designing your life around options and security. And when you increase your income streams, you're not just earning more. You're breaking free from limits. You're building a future where money isn't a cage, but a tool for you to live the life you deserve. So take that first step. Start your first side gig. Launch that small business. The world needs your talents. Your journey to financial freedom is in your hands. Let's make it legendary. You are here to create a life of abundance, not just for today, but for decades, generations. That's the promise of this chapter, financial planning for the future. This is where you stop reacting to life and start designing it. You're not just managing money here. You're building a legacy of security, purpose, and peace of mind. Let's talk about how you turn the vague idea of someday into a crystal-clear roadmap. Imagine standing at the top of a mountain. You look out at a vast landscape, forests, rivers, cities far below. Now imagine you're handed a map that shows exactly how to reach every peak, every valley, with confidence. That's what financial planning is, your GPS for the journey of wealth. Without it, you're wandering blindfolded. But with it, you control the direction, the pace, and the destination. Let's begin with the foundation, defining your goals. Short-term goals are like stepping stones. Maybe you want to pay off a small bill in 3 months, save for a vacation next year, or build a $1,000 emergency fund. These goals give you momentum. They prove to your brain that progress is real, tangible, and achievable. But then there's the grand vision. That's your long-term plan. Retiring at 55, sending your child to a university, or buying a home in a place that makes your soul sing. These aren't dreams, they're targets. Take the story of a man named David. 10 years ago, David was a single father, working 2 jobs, barely keeping up. He had no savings, no retirement account, and a mortgage that scared him every month. One day, he had a conversation with his daughter. She asked, "Daddy, will we always live like this? Is there a better way?" That question became the spark. David sat down, wrote out his short-term needs, pay off his car loan, create an emergency fund, and stared at the long-term dream. Retire by 60, give his daughter opportunities he never had. He didn't know how to get there, but he knew this. Without a plan, he'd never even close the door. He started small. He automated $200 monthly into his emergency fund. He enrolled in his employer's 401k, even if the contribution was minimal. Within 5 years, those steps had grown into something powerful. Today, David is 60. He hasn't retired fully yet, but his assets are on track. His daughter just graduated from college debt-free because he built a scholarship fund. He didn't get there by magic. He got there by planning. Now let me ask you, what is your David moment? What's the vision of your future that makes your chest tighten with emotion? Let it come. Let it feel real. Once you have that, you can reverse engineer your path. Next, retirement accounts, the non-negotiable pillars of financial planning. I know what you're thinking. I'm young. I'm not even 30. Why think about retirement? I'll tell you why. Because time is your greatest ally. The moment you start saving for retirement is the moment your money stops working for you and starts working with you. Let's break this down. If you invest $300 a month starting at age 25, assuming an 8% annual return, you'll have over $1 million by age 65. If you wait until 45 to start, you'll get less than half that amount. That's the magic of compound interest. But here's the catch. You have to let it compound. That means leaving your money invested, letting it grow on itself. Open a Roth IRA if you can. Open your employer's 401k and take their match. Treat that match like free money. Don't think of retirement accounts as restrictions. Think of them as freedom engines. Every dollar you sock away is a dollar that won't stress you out when you're 80. Then there's estate planning. The conversation we're all afraid to have, but it's one of the most loving things you can do. A will, a trust, beneficiary designations. These aren't for the dying, they're for the living. They're for the people who care about you. Imagine a woman named Lisa. For years, she put off writing a will, thinking she wasn't important enough. Then one day, she had a heart attack and passed away suddenly. Her husband was left with massive medical bills, her kids didn't know what happened to her savings, and her business was at risk of being lost to the wrong heirs. Estate planning isn't just about money. It's about honoring your values, protecting your family, and making your voice heard even when you're not there to speak. Now, align your spending with your future. Every purchase you make is a statement. This is what I believe in. This is how I define success. Are your choices reflecting the future you want? If your dream is to live in a home by 35, but you're spending 40% of your income on rent or car payments, there's a disconnect. Here's a simple truth. You don't get to spend your way to wealth, but you can invest your way there. Use the 50/30/20ths rule as a starting point. 50% needs, 30% wants, 20% savings and debt, but then adjust those percentages to match your goals. For example, if you're saving to buy a $300,000 house in 5 years, increase your contribution to savings. If you're starting a family, increase your emergency fund. Let's circle back to David. After aligning his spending, he stopped buying daily lattes and cut cable. That $100 a month? It went to a college fund for his daughter. Those choices, small, consistent, became the difference between a life of struggle and a life of options. Here's the takeaway. Financial planning isn't a race. It's not about perfection. It's about intentionality. It's about looking at the 500 decisions you'll make this week and asking, which of these brings me closer to the future I want? Your future is not written. It's not set in stone. You are the architect, the storyteller, the CEO of your destiny. Every time you update your budget, every time you contribute to your retirement account, every time you create a legally binding document that protects your loved ones, you are writing the next chapter of your... Welcome to Chapter 7, Avoiding Financial Pitfalls. Today, we're diving into the hidden landmines that sabotage financial freedom, and more importantly, how to outsmart them. I want you to visualize your journey to wealth as a path through a dense forest. Every step forward is progress, but if you don't notice the traps beneath your feet, you'll be set back 10 steps for every one you take. This chapter is about lighting those traps with the fire of awareness. Let's begin. First, let's talk about a thief that takes in plain sight: impulsive spending. Imagine this. You're scrolling through your phone late at night, tired after a long day, and suddenly, there it is. A limited time offer for that luxury watch you've never needed but always wanted. Your finger taps, and poof, your credit card glows red with regret. This is how many people fall. The rush of buying something instantly feels rewarding, but the cost? It's a chain that tightens slowly until you can barely breathe. Here's the story of a man who called me in tears one evening. He'd lost his job during the 2008 crisis. How was he surviving? Because 3 years earlier, he'd made a conscious decision. Before I buy anything over $100, I wait 30 days. That rule saved him. He had zero debt, a growing emergency fund, and when the crash hit, he had the flexibility to take a lower-paying job while learning new skills. Today, he owns a successful consulting firm. Your first shield against impulsive spending? Create a 30-day waiting period for big purchases. Write down what you want to buy, why you want it, and what it will cost. Then, wait. If that desire still burns in 30 days, you'll know it's worth it. If not, breathe easy. Your wallet just saved you from a mistake. Next, underestimating taxes. Here's a brutal truth. The longer you ignore taxes, the faster they'll ignore you. A few years back, I met a woman who ran her own business. She was thriving until the IRS knocked on her door. She hadn't set aside anything for taxes, thinking she'd pay them as they came. By the time she realized, she owed over $12,000. Her business tanked under the weight of that debt. Tax season is not a surprise party. It's a war you can win. How? Start by automating tax savings. Every pay period, set aside 25 to 30% of your income into a separate account before you touch it. If self-employed, use tax-advantaged accounts like a SEP IRA or solo 401k. And for the love of financial freedom, hire a tax professional. Let them be your strategist in the game against the government. Now, let's talk about fraud. It's the sneaky vampire that sips blood while you sleep. Imagine this. You wake up one morning to find $5,000 missing from your bank account. The culprit? A phishing scam disguised as a message from your bank. You fell for it. But here's the good news. You can train yourself to be uncatchable. First, monitor every single account weekly. Use apps that alert you to suspicious activity. Second, never click on links from unknown sources. If that urgent email from your bank pops up, close it immediately and visit your bank's official website directly. Third, freeze your credit so no one can open new accounts in your name. I know someone who discovered a fake credit card in her name after moving to a new city. She didn't panic. She had credit monitoring, knew her rights, and within days, the fraud was erased with zero damage to her credit score. But the most insidious financial pitfall of all? Job loss. It's not if, it's when. Companies change, industries die, and no one is immune. I'll never forget speaking to a software engineer in his 40s who lost his job during a tech layoff. He had no savings, no plan, only a mountain of student debt. For 6 months, he lived on ramen noodles. Then, he rebuilt. How? By creating a contingency plan. That's your mission now. Ask yourself, what would I do if I lost my income tomorrow? Here's your action step. Build a 90-day emergency fund. Then, master the skill of reinvention. Learn a trade, build an online course, or start a side hustle. The man I just mentioned? He now teaches coding to kids and runs multiple online businesses. The crisis? It became his catalyst. Finally, let's address the pitfall that kills more dreams than you realize. Stagnation. The belief that, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. What if I told you that the same habits that got you here won't carry you forward? The world changes faster than your phone's software updates. You must adapt or be left behind. A few years ago, a friend of mine was a top real estate agent. Then the market shifted. Instead of learning AI tools or diving into real estate investing, he clung to the old ways. He's now selling insurance. His pride? The most expensive mentorship he ever paid for. Don't let pride be your downfall. Stay hungry for growth, even in small doses. Read one book a month. Attend a free webinar. Follow leaders who push you toward evolution. So, my friend, here's your roadmap. 1. Beat impulsive spending with delayed gratification. 2. Tax yourself before the government does. 3. Arm your money against fraud with vigilance. 4. Prepare for job loss like a war general. 5. Always be growing, always be evolving. Financial freedom isn't just about earning. It's about surviving the storms others crumble in. Every pitfall we've discussed is a lesson from someone who once stood where you are now. The difference? You're not repeating their mistakes. You're learning from them. So raise your chin, take these tools, and walk boldly into the financial wilderness. With your eyes open, your heart strong, and your wallet smart, there's no challenge you can't overcome. And when life throws you curveballs, well, let's just say you'll be the one with the bat. Until next chapter, remember, you are not just building wealth. You're building immunity against the chaos of life. Let's go make it happen. You know, life has a way of surprising us. Sometimes in the best ways, and other times, well, not so much. A car breaks down. A home repair becomes urgent. A medical bill appears when you least expect it. These are the moments that test our financial resilience. And this, dear friend, is why we're diving into Chapter 8, Building an Emergency Fund. Because financial freedom isn't just about chasing wealth. It's about creating a safety net that lets you thrive without fear. Let me ask you, how would you feel if you could look life's surprises in the face with confidence? Not just confidence, but powerful confidence. Imagine waking up tomorrow with the knowledge that your emergency fund is ready to catch you if life knocks you off balance. You're not just surviving, you're standing tall. That's the power of this chapter. Let me tell you a story. I once met a man named Alex. He was a young dad, juggling 2 jobs to support his family. He told me how he ignored emergency savings for years, convinced it wasn't urgent. Then, one day, a pipe burst in his home, flooding 3 rooms. The repairs cost over $3,000, a sum he couldn't cover without selling his car. He ended up delaying his daughter's piano lessons and cutting their dental care. But here's the twist. 6 months later, he started small. Just $20 a week auto-deposited into a separate account. Today, his emergency fund is nearing $20,000. The point? It's not about how much you start with. It's about starting. So let's break this down. Your emergency fund is the emotional anchor that keeps your financial ship steady. It's not for vacations or impulse buys. It's for life. A sudden job loss, a medical crisis, or a major home repair. Experts often say you need 3 to 6 months of expenses saved. But here's the truth. Start with what's realistic. If you aim for 3 months but your first target is $1,000, that's still a win. Now, how do you turn that goal from a dream into a reality? Set a SMART goal. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Don't say, I want to save some money. Be precise. I will save $2, 506 months, by setting aside $100 every paycheck. Yes, it feels heavy until you see the progress. And remember, every dollar is a step closer to freedom. Automation is your best friend here. Let me say that again. Automation is your best friend. Let's talk about it. Your money often reflects your mental energy. When you wait to deposit manually, it's easier to let money slip away without thinking. But when you automate, you treat it like a non-negotiable bill. Set up an automatic transfer from your paycheck or your checking account to your emergency fund. Schedule it for the day after your payment lands, not after you've spent it all. Apps like Mint or YNAB can help you track, but even a direct deposit split will work wonders. But you know what's even more powerful than saving? Hustling strategically. Let's talk about the 20% rule. After every paycheck, no matter how tight it feels, commit 20% of your after-tax income to savings. This includes your emergency fund. Over time, this compounding habit becomes unstoppable. Need to speed up growth? Use windfalls, a tax refund, a bonus, a birthday gift from family. Redirect it all to your fund. Let's say you get a $1.500 refund this year. That's 60% of a $2.500 goal gone in one leap. You might be thinking, but what if I can't save anything right now? My friend, that's not about your current income. It's about your mindset. You can do this. The key is to see your money differently. Let's play a game. Grab your phone and check your subscriptions. A $10 streaming service. A $5 coffee every morning. What if I told you that cutting 3 of these a month would give you an extra $500 to add to your fund? Suddenly, that sacrifice becomes a superpower. Now, here's where you become a legend in your own story. Let's revisit Alex. Remember him? After his home disaster, he didn't just save $20 a week. He sold old gear he no longer used, $800 in one weekend. He picked up a side hustle tutoring, which added $200 a month. He didn't wait for permission from his budget. He moved with urgency. That's what we're talking about. Your emergency fund isn't just built in a savings account. It's built through every small, intentional choice you make. And let me warn you, avoid this trap. Don't confuse an emergency fund with a savings account for your next big splurge. This money is on lockdown during a real crisis only. If you tap into it for something trivial, it's like drilling a hole in your boat. That's why discipline matters more than the number. Here's the final strategy. Think long term, but act fast. If you can't build your emergency fund in 3 months, build it in 9. If you can save $150 a month instead of $200, that's still progress. Financial freedom isn't about perfection. It's about momentum. And as you grow your fund, something magical happens. Your anxiety decreases, your decisions become clearer, and your financial confidence grows. So let me leave you with this. Your emergency fund is proof that you are prepared for whatever life throws your way. It's not just a bucket of money. It's a statement that you are not waiting for someone else to give you permission to be stable. It's a statement that you are the architect of your financial resilience. Now, I want you to close your eyes for a second and imagine that moment when you reach your goal. Feel the relief. Imagine the freedom of calling a repair service without second-guessing your balance. Picture yourself supporting a loved one through illness without drowning in debt. This isn't just about numbers. It's about living You are not just reading about financial freedom, you are building it. And when it comes to families, this journey requires unity, shared vision, and a commitment to growing richer together. Money, more than numbers, is about the life your household chooses to create. Let's dive into financial freedom for families and discover how you and your loved ones can turn uncertainty into prosperity. Imagine this. A family of 4 sits in their living room, not to binge watch a show or debate dinner plans, but to talk about money. They're not arguing. They're not pretending the bills don't exist. They're speaking the same financial language, aligning their priorities, and laughing as they brainstorm a budget that actually works. This is the heart of family financial freedom. You see, the first step isn't a spreadsheet, it's a conversation. I once met a couple who transformed their financial chaos into clarity. They had 2 careers, 3 kids, and a mortgage that felt like a mountain. They'd argue about whether to pay off debt or vacation, whether to splurge on groceries or save for college. But then they decided to sit down as a team. They printed out every bill, laid it on the table, and asked each other, what are we truly building for? One parent wanted to retire at 60. The other dreamed of sending their children to a private school. They didn't compromise. They merged those dreams into a plan. And guess what? 3 years later, they achieved both. How? By communicating like partners, not roommates. This is your invitation, to stop whispering about money and start speaking it. To invite your children into the process, not to teach them math, but to teach them values. When a child sees you budgeting together, volunteering for expenses, and celebrating milestones, they're learning resilience. They're learning that money is a tool, not a curse. But how do you turn this intention into action? Let's build a blueprint. First, communicate with courage. Share your fears. I'm worried about the retirement savings gap. I feel guilty about your student loan debt. These are not uncomfortable truths. They're the raw material of progress. My father-in-law once told me, you can't solve a problem you won't own. Families who thrive financially are the ones who face their money story, unflinchingly, and rewrite it collaboratively. Second, design a budget with creativity. A shared budget isn't a prison. It's a canvas. Assign one person to track expenses and another to lead saving strategies. Use tools like a vision board, where every family member pins a photo of what financial freedom means to them. A house, a business, a world trip. Then, budget toward those visions. I've seen families use apps like YNABB, where every dollar has a job. But even a whiteboard or index cards work. The key is visibility. When everyone sees progress, they're invested in the success. Third, teach financial education early. If your kids are old enough to earn an allowance, they're old enough to learn about opportunity costs. One family I admire started a money lab at home, a small jar for each child, with coins representing their spending, saving, and charity goals. As the kids grew, so did their understanding of interest, investments, and generosity. If your children are older, offer to become their financial mentor. Let them manage a small budget for their activities or a part-time business. You'll create a generational legacy of financial competence. Here's a secret. The most powerful tool in family finance isn't a spreadsheet. It's transparency. That means sharing the household financial scorecard regularly, not as a report card, but as a team update. Celebrate every step forward, no matter how small. When you pay off a credit card balance, have a victory dinner. When you hit your savings goal, plant a tree or go stargazing. These moments build the emotional muscle that keeps you focused during setbacks. Now let's address the elephant in the room, conflict. I've never met a family without financial disagreements, but here's the difference. Those who embrace the process are the ones who outgrow their limitations. If you're struggling, take a pause, not to argue, but to listen. Ask each other, what's your real concern here? Sometimes, the argument isn't about the money. It's about feeling secure, respected, or heard. When you bridge that gap, your solutions become stronger. Let's close with a story of a family navigating a crisis. A few years ago, a couple lost their jobs within months. Their car needed repairs. Their youngest child had asthma. Panic threatened to tear them apart. But they held a family meeting. They listed every possible source of income: part-time gigs, selling unused items, a community grant. They restructured their rent with the landlord. They asked for help without shame. And 6 months later, they'd not only recovered, they'd built a side business from home. Their mantra became, one day at a time, together. This is how families build unshakable foundations, not by avoiding the storms, but by facing them with a united front. Financial freedom for families isn't about perfection. It's about connection. It's about knowing that while one of you might earn the money, the entire household owns the future. Today, I challenge you. Bring your family to the table, not just the adults, everyone. Share your fears. Share your dreams. Start small, a 30-minute weekly budget check-in. Then, invest time in learning together. Financial freedom won't come overnight, but it's the most powerful inheritance you can give to one another and to the next generation. Remember, the wealth you create as a family will ripple far beyond your bank account. It'll shape a culture of love, trust, and resilience, so speak boldly, act bravely, and trust this truth. As a family, you've got what it takes to rewrite your story. Let's go build that future, shoulder to shoulder. You've worked tirelessly to attract financial freedom, and now you stand at the doorstep of something even greater, the power to create a legacy that outlives you. This is the final chapter of your journey, but it's not an ending. It's a beginning for those who come after you. Creating a financial legacy means transforming what you've built into a force that empowers future generations, uplifts communities, and aligns with the deepest values of your soul. Let me show you how. Think about this. Financial freedom is not just about accumulating wealth, it's about allocating it with purpose. Imagine a world where your money isn't just a number in a bank account, but a bridge to opportunities for others. Perhaps you've heard stories of families who've built foundations that fund education, or of individuals who've structured trusts to ensure their descendants never face financial insecurity. These aren't just tales of generosity, they're blueprints for lasting impact. Let me share a true story. In my city, there was a man who rose from humble beginnings to build a successful business. Instead of letting his wealth sit idle, he created a scholarship program for underprivileged students. But here's what made his legacy extraordinary. He didn't stop at scholarships. He required every recipient to spend a weekend mentoring younger students, sharing the values he'd instilled in them. Today, that program has touched thousands of lives, not just by giving them money, but by giving them a sense of purpose, confidence, and the tools to become mentors themselves. His name isn't in the headlines, but his legacy lives on in the lives of those who carry it forward. This is the essence of creating a financial legacy. It's not about leaving a mountain of money. It's about planting seeds that grow long after you're gone. Your legacy could be generational wealth, safeguarded through trusts and clear financial planning. Or it could be philanthropy, where you empower others to rise when you can no longer climb. The beauty lies in choosing what resonates with you. Start by asking yourself, what values guide your life? If community is your compass, your legacy might involve funding local initiatives or creating a charitable fund. If family is your anchor, consider building wealth that becomes a safety net for your descendants. Maybe your legacy is a mix of both, like that man from my story. The key is to align your plans with what ignites your soul. Now let's talk about how to make it tangible. Documenting your intentions isn't just a legal formality. It's an act of love for those who follow you. Imagine leaving behind a handwritten letter explaining how you built your wealth, the mistakes you made, and the principles you wish to pass on. Or picture a detailed trust that outlines not just financial resources, but also a mission for how they should be used. By documenting your vision, you turn uncertainty into clarity for your family, your mentees, and even your community. And here's a truth many overlook. A legacy is only as strong as the people who carry it forward. That's why mentoring is one of the most powerful tools in your arsenal. You don't need to be a millionaire to mentor someone. You simply need to share what you know. Have you learned the value of budgeting? Teach it. Have you navigated the world of investing? Guide others. Share your hard-earned wisdom and watch as it transforms lives. Consider mentoring a young entrepreneur, a student, or even your own children. Their success becomes your legacy in motion. Now, I understand. Creating a financial legacy can feel intimidating. You might wonder, where do I start? Let me simplify it. Begin with small steps. Do you believe in education? Create a scholarship or fund a school program. Do you want to help your family thrive? Start a family financial literacy workshop. The goal isn't perfection, it's intention. Let's talk about generational wealth for a moment. It's more than writing a will. It's about building a system where future generations inherit more than money. They inherit knowledge, resilience, and a sense of responsibility. Suppose you establish a family meeting where you discuss financial goals, teach them about investing, or share your story of overcoming challenges. These moments create a lineage of wisdom, ensuring that when your time is done, your descendants are not only financially prepared but emotionally and mentally equipped to carry the torch. And for those of you who are drawn to philanthropy, remember this: you don't have to wait until you're rich to give back. Every dollar, every hour, every act of kindness is a brick in the foundation of your legacy. A single donation to a cause you care about, a volunteer shift at a local shelter, or even a heartfelt conversation with someone in need. These are all threads in the tapestry of your legacy. Let's push forward with boldness. Suppose you've been told you can't leave a legacy because you're still paying off debt or just achieving financial stability. Guess what? Even in the midst of growth, you can plant the seeds of a legacy. Think of it as a garden you tend alongside your own financial goals. Maybe you start a small charitable fund that grows as your wealth grows. Or you begin mentoring someone you believe in. The act itself is powerful. It reinforces your mindset of generosity and long-term thinking, which becomes part of your legacy. One final note: reflect often on your values and how your actions align with them. What would you want people to say about you years from now? That you were a person who hoarded resources, or one who shared abundance? That you prioritized the present, or that you thought generations ahead? Your financial decisions are not neutral. They're a reflection of who you are and what you stand for. So here's your challenge. Take the next 48 hours to create a legacy snapshot on paper. Answer these questions honestly. 1. What values matter most to me? 2. How do I want my financial choices to impact others? 3. What one action can I take right now to align my life with that vision? When you commit to these answers, you unlock an unstoppable force inside you. You become a living example that financial freedom isn't a destination. It's a journey that empowers you to shape a better world. Remember, your legacy isn't just about the money you leave behind. It's about the lives you've inspired, the systems you've built, and the love you've shared. So look around you at the people who will carry your story forward, whether they're in your family, your community, or the wider world. Then ask yourself, what would it look like to give them a foundation of confidence, support, and opportunity? The answer lies in your hands. Because when you combine the power of intention, action, and love, you create a financial legacy that's not just measured in dollars, it's measured in lives changed forever. Let's make